Ciao everyone and welcome back to another episode of Learn Italian with Songs. Today we are going to talk about Sto bene al mare by Marco Mengoni, but this time is a featuring with whom? Well, one you already know him if you follow a bit Sanremo, because we are talking about Rkomi. The other artist, however, is a little bit more emerging still, Sayf, but he's becoming quite popular, so maybe, I'm just saying, we might find him in the pool of the possible artists for Sanremo in 2026. But I don't know. It is just a rumor, also because it's quite early to talk about Sanremo 2026 yet. So, Sto bene al mare. As usual, concerning this week at least, I have to make an announcement mainly for today, because today is going to be the last live stream, at least until August 2025. We are at the end of June 2025, and I won't be able to stream in July. Not because I'm going on holiday, but because I have to participate in a selection to enter the university I want to do. So for the whole of July, I will fight for my life, and I won't have time, but mostly energies to stream. So we are just going to be on vacation. And we are going to see each other once again in August. So don't worry, you will still get some... My robot that cleans the floors randomly activated and scared me. Anyway, so don't worry, I'll still publish, of course, scheduled content. So I'm talking about the shorts, and I'm talking about the quizzes you can find in the post zone of the channel. But don't worry, we'll be back. We're just going to take a break for July. That said, sto bene al mare. Now, literal translation, I am fine at the seaside. And you might say, oh, Silvia, then it has to be another summer hit. Yes, sort of, kinda. Ideally, for how it was announced and released, everyone was in fact expecting, also because of the title and the moment of the year, a summer hit, or as we like to say in Italian, tormentone estivo. Now, is it a summer hit? No, sort of. If you listen to it, yes. Like, if you don't mind it too much, yes, it fits the narrative of the summer hit. But if you listen closely and you watch with attention the official video clip, you quickly understand that is not the classic summer hit song. Why? Usually the point of summer hits is to dance, not think, talk about summer Italian things. What are the summer Italian things? Depends, but generally like chilling, having fun, mainly if you are young, dealing with relationships. Also, now it is something that is concerning more and more people, but usually when you are a teenager or like a young adult, you have those moments, but generally it's more when you're a teenager, you have those moments where you have your vacation and then you pretty like you stay with the person you find for the whole of the summer, and then you break up because you live far away and you met only at the sea, because many Italians go on vacation where the grandparents are, for example, is something that I used to do as well. But in my case, it was in the mountains. Usually it's at the sea, because of course there are many families who came to the north, like big cities, like, I don't know, Milan, Turin and whatnot. But of course, the grandparents of the children these families are having are in the south. So what often happens is that the family is in the north, the children go to school and live there, but since we have quite long summer vacations, because our summer vacations last 3 months, we have the whole of July, the whole of August, and then generally the first half of September and the last part of June. Why do I say generally? Because we don't have fixed dates. It depends. Of course, later we finish the previous year in June, later we are going to start in September. So if we finish, I don't know, during the first week of June, we are going to start again in the first week of September. So it is 3 months. What many people, like teenagers, kids and whatnot, do is we go to where our parents live. Again, if you have your grandparents in the south, generally you are quite close to the sea, and you meet other children or teenagers that are doing the same things. I had plenty of friends who had the school year friends and the summer vacation friends. So like it's something that really happens. So in this case, of course, it can happen that I had many friends who were like finding a boyfriend or something, or a girlfriend during the school year. Then they were breaking up right before the summer vacations. They were going with their group of friends at the sea, or generally where they used to go during the summer vacations, find there a boyfriend or girlfriend, keeping them until the end of the summer vacations, and then breaking up with them and going back with the boyfriend or girlfriend from the school year. And it's like, it was hilarious. So what do we expect then? Usually the main ingredient of summer hit songs is the love story. Generally, we have the oh my god, I'm going to have so much fun. I missed you since the last summer, and finally we'll be together once again. Also, because back in my days, where social media weren't that popular, there were people who kept both the summer, the school year girlfriend, boyfriend, and the summer vacation boyfriend, girlfriend. So like they were switching, but the other girlfriend or boyfriend didn't know about the switch. So that was something as well. And nowadays, also considering how early the teenagers access social media, is not that feasible anymore. But back in the days, it was more feasible. So as I was saying, the first thing is I'm going to party, I'm going to have fun, I'm going to see my friends again, I'm going to see my girlfriend, boyfriend again, and whatnot. So happy vibes. And then you have the nostalgic vibes. Generally, these are more for when you come back. So, oh my god, the summer is ending, we have to go back to school, and then insert memories from summer.jpg. And this is a bit the idea. But the core thing, besides love stories, love in general as a theme is the main ingredient. Then you have all the variation. You have friendship, party, summer experiences, the sea, going to the beach, having fun. And then you have the more nostalgic, but generally the events narrated are pretty much the same in both types. Now, what is, however, the point? The point is a bit the melody and the fact that the lyrics is not really the point, because summer hits survive the year. In fact, like, you can see playlist of Italian songs evolving, the summer song evolving, because you have each and every year basically all the summer songs released in like as a batch at the beginning of the summer, and then it happens a battle royale in the pools, in the malls, in public places, in the radios generally, and you see who survives. Of course, who is surviving? The songs more that are more listened to, the ones that are more cheerful, that stay in your head, easy to dance on, because you have to do aqua gym, you have to dance at the pool, you have to dance at the sea, you have to dance in the clubs. So the idea is, I don't really care about the lyrics. The lyrics are going to be simple, because the whole point is that I'm going to listen to it in the clubs while I am drunk. Unless you are a minor. Don't do that if you're a minor. So, when we talk about summer hits, the best I can offer you as a commentary is this whole thing about, oh, look, there is a pop Italian reference, because one of the games is like, oh, I'm going to put Easter eggs in my song, so like people listen to it and are like, oh, lol, I got this, or like memes. For example, the whole discography of Fabio Rovazzi is based on memes. And why am I doing this whole introduction? Because this song is not like that at all. Why? Because the first time you listen to it, you're like, oh, okay, easy, sto bene al mare, I'm fine, I feel good at the seaside. So, okay, fits the narrative. But then, if you truly understand the lyrics and if you watch carefully the video, you're like, okay, I didn't expect this. In fact, this song was released on the 13th of June 2025, so recent if you take into consideration the moment I'm registering this, the moment I am recording this video. It is a single like all the OG summer songs. And let's check the lyrics, because I have to show you to have you understand. So, the structure of the song is the classic summer song structure. So we have an intro, a verse, a chorus very simple, a second verse, a chorus, always the same, a bridge, and an outro, which is basically the chorus. So, ideally, the core of the song is in the verses. And yet, the song begins with Sto bene al mare, al mare. I'm fine at the seaside, at the seaside. Al mare, sto bene al mare. At the seaside, I'm fine at the seaside. Now, why am I pointing out this peculiar structure? And remember, this is exactly what we are going to find in the chorus. But this is peculiar because it is a specific rhetoric or literal figure, which is called chiasmus. Now, what is a chiasmus? It is a rhetorical or literary figure in which words, grammatical constructions, or concepts are repeated in reverse order. Now, why is this relevant? Because it is a subversion. And this is pretty much also the point of the song. Because you saw, the start is clean, simple. I'm fine at the seaside. This is the point. So, I'm happy at the seaside. I want to be at the seaside. Why? Because, as I was explaining in the introduction, the seaside for us Italian living in a peninsula and is specifically related to summer. Usually our main holidays are in summer. Just think about the fact that the students have very long summer vacations and adults generally take the longest vacation, so around 1 or 2 weeks during summer. And so for us, being at the sea, going to the sea, staying on the beach and whatnot is associated to that moment of the year where we relax, we don't think about the work, we don't think about our jobs, we don't think about the school, so relaxation. Unless you are a university student, because university students have sessions until July, and we start back in September. So generally what happens is that we study until July, because our sessions start around May, the end of May. We have the end of May, the whole of June, July, and then one more in September. Now, you might say, but Silvia, you have the whole of August. And no, because the point is that the session is in the first days, usually during the first 2 weeks of September. So this means that according to how heavy is the exam, you might end up even studying the whole of August, and for sure you have to study at least the last 2 weeks of August. If the exam is the subject very well, you prepared a lot of things in advance while following the courses and whatnot, you might be able to prepare yourself only during the last week of August and the 1st of September. But first, it depends when you have the exam, because it might be within the first week of September, and how heavy the subject of the exam is. So university students are a bit something different, like a category on the side. But generally, for the average Italian, at least 2 weeks in August are holy and blessed, because it is like relax time. Of course, it's not for everyone, because there are people working nonetheless, also in August, but generally for the average Italian, mainly young adults, and generally the songs are targeting the young adults, this is a bit the whole point. But then let's go to the first verse. While the chorus, intro, outro are mainly sung by Marco Mengoni, the verses are in featuring. The first verse is first Sayf and then Marco Mengoni, while the second verse, if I remember correctly, is full on Rkomi. Non ho motivo di stare in città. I have no reason to stay in the city. Mi sento meglio nelle tane dei bruchi. I feel better in the burrows of caterpillars. Non è il denaro né una cooking mama. It's not money or a cooking mama che mi fa stare in una valle di cubi. That makes me stay in a valley of cubes. Potevo fare come ha fatto papà. I could have done as dad did. E capirci qualcosa di tubi, and understand something about pipes, per poi finire coi compari nei bar, and then end up with the buddies in the bars, con i campari, le Marlboro e gli urli, with camparis, the Marlboros and the screams. And then we have the part of Marco Mengoni. Ma mi ci vedi tu a Cinecittà? But do you see me in Cinecittà? A fare il ruolo dell'attore più bello? Playing the role of the most handsome actor? A dire frasi che domani chissà? Saying sentences that tomorrow who knows? Se avranno un senso per avere un anello? If they will make sense to get a ring? Ma mi ci vedi tipo tu a City Life? But do you see me like you, or like do you think you can see me in City Life? A fare i cin cin con i re del cemento. To cheer with the concrete kings. A festeggiare di un futuro che sai. Celebrating a future that you know. Cambia colore come cambiano i venti. Changes color like the winds change. And here, if we start listening, we can notice that there is already something weird. Okay, you might say, oh, I have no reason to stay in the city. Why? Because, as I was saying, during summer, Italians start leave the big cities to go to the seaside. So until here, makes sense. Mi sento meglio nelle tane dei bruchi. I feel better in the burrow of caterpillars. This, once again, okay, can make sense because it can be a reference to the play you can do where you get buried in the sand on the beach. Also because we see this happening in the in the video. Non è il denaro né una cooking mama che mi fa stare in una valle di cubi. Now, I'll be honest, here is not clear what Sayf says because it seems like cookie mama, like the biscuit, but it doesn't make sense to me at least. So it's either a meaning that I ignore and cookie, like the biscuit mama, means something else I can't figure out, or it is cooking mama as in the famous video game. Why did I think about the video game? Because after he says che mi fa stare in una valle di cubi. Now, what could this be? This valley of cubes. Generally, any video games where the cubes might represent the pixels. But when we talk about cubes, the first thought usually is Minecraft. But it could also be Stardew Valley, because Stardew Valley has the pixelated aesthetic and has Valley in the name. So, but it could also hinting at the fact that in cities usually everything is very squared. So I won't be staying in the city even if you offer me money or a cookie mama, which I have no clue what it should mean. And then I could have done like my father and understand something about pipes. What does it mean, understand something about pipes? Becoming a plumber. But then there is a critique. Yes, I could have done like my father, but then for what? To end up to like drinking, because Campari is the drink, smoking Marlboros because Marlboro, as I said in other videos, is one of the most common brand of cigarettes in Italy. And the screams. Why the screams? Generally, it is related to people rooting for the football or soccer matches. But generally, like people screaming at each other in bars. So, like, because friendly reminder that we don't have the distinction like in some English countries between the cafe and the, I don't remember how it's called, maybe the bar, so the bar and the cafe, because we only have bars and you can get alcohol. Not in the smallest, they just don't have the alcohol sometimes. But generally, you can order drinks as well also in the bars. We don't have the strict distinction. In fact, he mentions the Campari. What is the point? Yes, if I wanted, I could have become like my father. Do like a real job, because in Italy we have the whole issue with people like, oh my god, these new jobs are not real jobs. Like if you are a creator, if you are a singer, if you are like all the tech stuff, because there is a whole issue with technophobia as well. Like this is not, but mainly for creative jobs. It's the whole thing about that's not a real job. And here is like, yes, I could have become a plumber, like doing a real job like my father. But for what? Ending up frustrated in a bar among alcohol, cigarettes, and people screaming. Not really the best. So here, I guess, is a criticism to the city. So, like, I don't want to stay in the city. So I don't want to be a workaholic. And I don't want to be like people attached to toxic biases. So, yeah, my father does a real job, but for what? Ending up frustrated, drinking alcohol, smoking, and screaming at each other among his friends. Like, wow, cool. And then we have the portion of Marco Mengoni saying like, oh, yeah, I could have been to Cinecittà, which is a zone of Rome where people film the movies, okay? Sort of like the Hollywood, right? Which is a neighborhood, if we can call it like that. Which is a portion of Los Angeles. Same thing we have, of course, Cinecittà is not as big as Hollywood, but the idea is a bit similar, is a zone of the city of Rome. And in fact, like, yes, I could have been in Cinecittà and be the most handsome actor, but it's not for me. And it's like, why should I even do that? To create a network that at certain point will give me a ring? Now, what is this ring? Finding a partner in a more literal way, but generally to commit to someone, so to be related to other people. So, or like generally to do networking, but the issue here is with what type of people. And in fact, he says, but like, do you even see me? Like, is it even realistic, like me being in city life, to cheer? Because cin cin is the onomatopoeia we use in Italian to describe the clink of the glasses touching when you cheer. So the idea is that, but is it even worth it to be, for example, in city life, to network with the concrete kings? So of course, people who build everything, anything, and of course are the entrepreneur. But like, how legit is this? And like why should I even be so worried about this type of networking for my future when I'm not even sure about the future? And in fact, in the chorus, they all just say, I'm fine at the seaside, which is exactly the repetition of the intro for 2 times. Sto bene al mare, al mare, al mare, sto bene al mare. Sto bene al mare, al mare, al mare, sto bene al mare. So, the 2 lines of the intro repeated 2 times. For a total of 4, I'm fine, like I'm good, my place is at the seaside, at the seaside. That's the idea. Now, so we have the contrast, like the whole point was I could have been there, but I needed to escape. I need to be at the sea. Because at the sea, I can stop thinking about anything. So, like, I can chill. And then we have the summer hit song, which is by Rkomi. Lei è così calda e bagnata appena uscita dall'acqua. She's so hot and wet just out of the water. Nel suo specchio cosmetico stiamo perdendo quota. In her vanity mirror we are losing altitude. Cattura la pioggia dentro un berretto di paglia. She catches, the rain inside a straw hat. Milioni di modi con cui la gente si innamora. A million ways people fall in love. E valli tutto il tempo, ti prego resisti. And you're worth all the time, please hold on. Quanto dura un'amnesia? Non c'è futuro di esistere. How long does an amnesia last? There's no future to exist. Mi serve aria, un ventaglio, un altro dettaglio. I need air, a fan, another detail. Mi sono ficcato in un guaio. I've gotten myself into trouble. Io non sto bene al mare. Mi devo abituare. I don't feel good at the seaside. I have to get used to it. Mi fa pensare, mami, a quanto siamo stati male. It makes me think, mami, how bad we've been. Ho un'estate da sprecare, stavolta rimedio. I have a summer to waste, this time I'll make up for it. Le sussurro da dietro perché l'amore è così cieco. I whisper to her from behind because love is so blind, is blind like that. So we have our good Rkomi bringing home the love literary topos for our beautiful summer song, because of course Rkomi is about relationships who didn't end well. And she he says at certain point he's talking about a woman he met at the sea, saying in her vanity mirror we are losing altitude, so our relationship is not going good. What is this vanity mirror? Here the interpretation is open, the meaning is not that clear. It could be the social media. So the idea would be, I'm not fitting your social narrative, so the relationship is not doing good. Then catching rain inside a straw hat as a representation of something useless. And then a million ways people fall in love, okay, just to fill lines, I guess. Then, how, you are worth all the time, please hold on. And this will become more clear in the bridge. So Rkomi here he says, like, you are worth. Hold on. Who is this person? We are going to see in the bridge. How long does an amnesia last? There's no future to exist. Like, and again, this is going to become more clear in a moment when we'll see the bridge. But for how long you can afford to forget something, to ignore something? Because there's no future where we can exist. I need air, a fan, another detail. I've gotten myself into trouble. And this portion of the verse is going to become more clear with the bridge, but first, the ending of the verse. Classic person who can't chill, who can't rest. Guilty. I get that. I don't feel good at the seaside. Why? Because I can't relax, so I have to get used to it. But also because the seaside is where we met, so it makes me think about our relationship. Since I'm not going to spend my summer with you, I can waste it, and I'm going to whisper to a woman from behind her because the love is blind. So let's go from behind because you can't see me. And then once again we have the chorus, sto bene al mare, al mare, al mare, sto bene al mare, sto bene al mare, al mare, al mare, sto bene al mare, which is always, I'm fine at the seaside, nothing changes. And finally we have a little bit what is the core of the song, the bridge. While the bridge develops, we have in the background the chorus saying sto bene al mare, I'm fine at the seaside. Cosa succede dall'altra parte del mare? What's happening on the other side of the sea? Stai bene al mare, you are fine at the seaside. Con gli occhiali e con la crema solare, mentre la terra scompare. With glasses and sunscreen while the earth disappears. Sto bene al mare. I'm fine at the seaside. Farei un cammino spirituale fino a Timbuktu per non cadere in tentazioni come i jeans couture. I would like to take a spiritual journey to Timbuktu to avoid falling into temptations like couture jeans. Stai bene al mare. You are fine at the seaside. Farti bastare un amore soltanto. Make it just one love enough for you. Sto bene al mare, al mare, al mare, sto bene al mare. I'm fine at the seaside, at the seaside, at the seaside. I'm fine at the seaside. Now, context, very important here. We need to know what is happening in the video clip. Because at this point in the video clip, where generally we see for the majority of the video a set where they created a fake seaside in a cinematic studio, at this point we can see two children making a sand castle, because on this set we have several Italians doing Italian things. Like that set is the recreation of what you would expect from what you could find on an Italian beach. Now, one of the activities, like pretty much in the rest of the world, for children, but not only, is to build sandcastles. Now, the children, however, in the video are building a very peculiar sandcastle due to a decoration that it has on it. And that decoration is a little Palestinian flag. Then we switch to another frame where in the sunglasses, because Marco Mengoni says with glasses in sunglasses and sunscreen, while the earth disappears. And when he says that, we see a man with sunglasses. In the reflection, because it's like mirror sunglasses, in the reflection we see rockets, missiles, bombs exploding, hitting the target. And then in the next clip of the video, we see the castle on which there is the Palestinian flag being destroyed. So what is who is that who has to hold on and he's worth it? Who is in a trouble? Someone who is on the other side of the sea. Where is Italy? Italy is in the Mediterranean Sea. Who is on the other side of the Mediterranean? Respect Italy. Palestine. Where the earth, the ground, the land is disappearing because it is being destroyed by the bombs and by the war. Then we have mentioned Timbuktu, which is an ancient city in Mali, situated 20 kilometers, aka 12 miles, north of the Niger River. And in Italy, when you say Timbuktu, you mean something very far away. I'm not sure where this idea comes from, but generally, many Italians, mainly from older generations, but generally in Italy still used as expression Timbuktu to say that you are sending something far away, or like something is far away. I don't know why. And probably this is a reference also to fast fashion, I guess, because he's mentioning the jeans couture. So, I don't know. But it could be also probably a reference to the fact, a metaphor to say that we don't want to think about it because it's far away, or that we are mentally far away from the problems. And then the song ends with an outro, which is simply the repetition of the chorus. Sto bene al mare, al mare, al mare, sto bene al mare. Sto bene al mare, al mare, al mare, sto bene al mare. I'm fine at the seaside, and so on. It is always the same thing. And that was the lyrics of Sto bene al mare by Marco Mengoni featuring Rkomi Sayf. Now, as I anticipated in the introduction and throughout the whole lyrics analysis, this song at first glance might seem a summer song, but in the end it is not, as you might have noticed. Now, ideally, the seaside, so going to the sea, in Italy is related to not thinking about something, to be indifferent, okay? Because it is generally a moment where you go and relax and you forget about everything, which is okay because, as explained in certain portions of the song, it is healthy for us to have a moment to recharge where we put on the side our worries. We as humans pretty much need moments like that to avoid burnout. But there is a difference between taking a vacation to recharge and just ignoring everything else all the time to, like, for example, what happens quite next to us, because to be honest, Palestine is not that far, geographically speaking, for Italy. And this whole song made me also think about something that happened quite recently. What happened quite recently? In Italy, we had to go to vote concerning 4 referendums. So, in Italy, every now and then, some politicians or simply citizens can ask Italians to go vote concerning certain subjects and to express an opinion which is either yes, we approve, or no, we reject the idea. This is a referendum in brief. Now, recently, in June, at the beginning of June, we had to vote concerning 5 matters. 4 of them were concerning the job market. In theory, it was to help the workforce in Italy to have more rights. Now, the issue is that the referendums were not well put, so that created some issues. But there was one more referendum that was very clear, and voting yes was very easy. What was that? To vote to change the law concerning the citizenship. Because right now, if you want to get your Italian citizenship, so you want to be naturalized, you have to live in Italy for at least 10 years, which is a lot, like really not needed. So the proposal was to bring it from 10 to 5, which is, for example, the amount of time required also in France. What is the issue, however? As you might have noticed, I said right now we have 10 years, so the proposition didn't pass. And you might say, oh, because Italians voted no, like they don't want to give their citizenship. Well, they pulled out even a more coward move, which was not going to vote at all. And I swear to God, when these things happen, I am really thinking about Australia, because there, if you don't vote, as far as I heard, you get a fine. And at certain point, I'm starting to get very I start to like this position very much about fining people who don't vote. Because you have to know that in Italy, if to be valid, the choice in the referendum, at least 50% plus 1 of all the people, of all the Italians who can vote, needs to go to vote. Otherwise, whatever is the result is not going to be valid. In all cases, in this referendum, for example, the yes won. So, though the majority of people who went to vote want to approve the propositions. The problem, however, is that only 30% of the voters went to vote, which is incredibly low. And of course, despite the yes winning, it wasn't valid, because we need, as I said, at least half plus 1 of people who can vote going to vote. This, of course, was ridiculous, but sadly, it is something that happens often, mainly with referendums. And the most disgusting thing is that our politicians invite people to not go voting, so the referendum just doesn't reach the quorum. This 50% plus 1 is called quorum, like the minimum amount of people who has to go to vote to make the voting process valid. And we always have politicians telling us to not go voting. And why am I thinking about this, besides the whole matter of the indifference? Because in this specific case, since we were voting in June, like in the first week of June, many politicians said, go to the seaside, go to the beach, which is better than expressing your vote. So I don't know if the song was ready before everything, because like it's not that happened in June. Like politicians started to say that months before going to vote, because of course we have several months where we discuss the whole matter of the referendums, even if in this case people didn't even talk about it that much. In fact, despite the fact that I live abroad, because I live in France, of course I can still vote because I still have the citizenship, I was one of the first to care about the referendums, because of course you have to also research what the referendums are about, because they are often very technical. For example, the one about making it easier to get Italian citizenship was quite clear. No more 10 years, just 5. But the others were quite technical, even for me, despite me being a jurist. In fact, I had to talk to a friend of mine who is specialized in labor laws, because the laws being modified by the referendum should have been labor laws. And when I saw the title of this song, I kind of thought about this sentence about go to the beach, go to the sea, just don't go voting, which is like disgusting and insult to democracy as an ideal and concept, and just like, oh my god, just no. Probably it was a coincidence and the song was already ready. I don't know. But yeah, I thought about it. I thought about it. Now, that said, let me know in the comments what you think about Sto bene al mare by Marco Mengoni, Rkomi and Sayf. A longer goodbye, a longer arrivederci this time, because we are going to see each other again in August. But until then, grazie everyone for watching and arrivederci.